Hi, everybody. I can't hear anything. How's everyone doing? Um, I want to say happy fall. It's chilly. It's like the calendar just flipped a light switch for us, right? It's crazy. But anyway, happy fall. How's everybody doing? Let's get right started. I was tutoring, so I kind of forgot where I was going. So here's our first image. I'm going to share with you. So our first image is of these fathers who decided to march and make themselves known. They're called the Dad Game. And what they're trying to say to the world is despite what society may say about Black men as fathers, we are here, we love our children, and we are involved in their lives. And if you've had a healthy relationship with a father in your life, it changes everything. So these men are wanting you to know they've stepped up and they are doing what they're supposed to be doing. What we're going to be looking at today in reading, and this is a high level skill, and you've heard me talk about that before, is and this is the last lesson in reading before we cycle back to the beginning. So if you're just coming in now and you're looking at some of these lessons and you're saying, wow, I don't even know what she's talking about, let me know. And also hang on and be patient. We'll come back around and you'll have a chance to be right with us. So in this final lesson, we're talking about an author's point of view and the choice of language that he uses, and how does that contribute to the power of his poetry. So, what I want you to understand is how a writer brings it all together to make good communication, to be powerful, to um, raise emotions, make you feel, make you think. How is this done on a high level of per- of proficiency of skill? So let's take a look first. Oh, that's actually your assignment. I'll get back to that. Let's take a look at the article. And again, the way we get strong with at writing and reading and math or anything at all. I'm not really sure what just happened there. It's a commercial. The way we get good at those skills are just by doing them over and over again. So let's take a look at this. First, we're going to look at the article. This is from the Star Tribune, which is a newspaper in Minnesota. And the title of the article, and this was under Variety, that section of the newspaper where they talk about entertainment, different things that are going on, not the serious news necessarily. So our title says prize-winning St. Paul poet reflects on fatherhood, police violence, and being Black in America. Then our subtitle says that poetry is having a moment, and the St. Paul Poets prize winning collection speaks to the times. This article was written by Rachel Hutton, a Star Tribune reporter, on June 7th of this year. And here we have a picture of our poet, Michael Kebler Diggs, where he explores his race, gender, being a male, and the issues of the day that he calls socially responsible poetics. So he often writes about moments that start out ordinary, such as picking up his daughter from school, but he soon reflects on something more complex. For example, outside her junior high, he saw a Black boy handcuffed in the back of a cop car, which led to a deep contemplation of the boy's future and his own skin. In his debut, or his first poetry collection called Worldly Things, which was released this week by Milkwood Editions back in June, Kepler Diggs talks about his lived experiences as a Black man in America. And with his pen, he unpacks those experiences. So, and he was fueled by social media insta poets and Amanda Gorman's star turn at the presidential inauguration, the young girl that spoke. Pop Poetry's popularity is on the rise. And poetry is a way that our souls speak when we react to the things around us. Um, so, after decades of steady decline, the percentage of Americans reading poetry has doubled since its historical low in 2012 of 7%, according to the National Endowment of Arts. He is among the poets making the form more accessible, more available, more inclusive, including different perspectives or life views. And so he dispels the common notion that poetry is some kind of riddle that you might not be smart enough to figure out. He writes about everything from fishing with his grandfather to police killings. Kepler Dick says he hopes his poems spur conversations about the truth of our lives and increase the sense of empathy and community that infuse his work. And for years, the attorney by day, so that's his day job, would get anxious when friends introduced him as the poet. And it would take everything in my power not to say, whoa, 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 let's not get carried away. It took a long time to brace that identity, says Kevlar Diggs, 53. But luminaries in the literary world are saying his book has been well worth the wait. He grew up in Kansas, I'm just summarizing, and moved to Minnesota for law school and then worked as a corporate lawyer and a litigator, all the time nurturing his talent. His family had always encouraged him to pursue something practical like law, not being a poet, because both of his parents had graduate degrees, which is the degree you get after a college degree. And his father died when he was 8, and his mother was a Black single mom. And she put pressure on him to get a secure job. But by the late 90s, he was fascinated with poetry, and that stimulated his analytical and creative sides. So his wife gave him a poetry class as for one Christmas. And after taking years off from poetry, when his college age daughter was young, he began sending out his work and was then recognized. He was laid off from his job last year, and so he started creative writing, and he taught at the Minnesota prison writing workshop as well as other universities, some universities. And his poetry began to shift when he wrote about a memory of playing with superhero shaped water squirters with his twin brother. And then their father passed away when they were boys. But the subject of his father kept coming up. So when he brought that poem to the workshop, the group was surprised to learn that his father had been the victim of a random crime, shot and killed at his dental practice. The poem allowed him to make a breakthrough that it was okay to talk about the truth of his life and his experience. And the more difficult it is, the more important it is. Poetry allows us to say difficult things in many different ways. And so he wrote poems about his father's death, his wife's miscarriage, race and racism. And those are the sorts of things he feels pull to discuss in ways that are open, honest, and open minded. And though they're hard conversations, he feels like he's making real connections with people. Um, and so the loss of his father led to a closer relationship with his grandparents and showed him that life is difficult and beautiful for himself and for others. And his family history includes adversity and trauma and personal shortcomings and triumphs. And so he wanted to be honest and open in his poetry. So let's take a look at the poem he wrote about his father. After you left, the weight of your absence became a black hole revolving around my memory of you. Itself a black hole, wavelets wrinkled. The sheer sheet of space and time. Father, the loss of you is a planet orbiting what might have been. I didn't read that right. I cannot say if the emptiness is a grand celestial body or a vacuum so complete that nothing can escape. I know these forces have mass and motion that bends and calls in and ripples fabric, and distorts the pace of light for a billion years. Let's look at this again. The weight of your absence, Father dying, became a black hole. We know that black holes suck everything in and nothing leaves. Around my memory of you, and itself a black hole. Wavelets wrinkled the sheer sheet of space and time. Father, the loss of you was a planet orbiting what might have been. I can't say if the absence is a grand celestial body or vacuum, so complete that nothing can escape. I know these forces have mass and motion that bends and calls in and ripples fabric, distorts the pace of light for a billion years. So losing his father has been just a place where of nothingness and emptiness, and everything has changed forever. Let's look at this sheet. What was the main idea? So the only thing you're going to look at is the poem. What was the tone? Was it serious, playful? Was it painful? Was it, what was, how was he directing his information to you? And then tell me 3 instances of figurative language. When we're talking about figurative language, we're talking about words that stand for other things, and we're using things like metaphors. We're making comparisons without using like or as. Life was a barren field frozen with snow. When I'm saying that about life, I'm saying that it was cold and it was hard, right, and ungiving. So give 3 instances of figurative language, and then tell how does his use of figurative language contribute to the theme of loss and the tone of seriousness, of sadness, right? How does that impact his text? Now, I have not given you an answer key because, as I said, this is when you get to 11th, 12th grade and the use of figurative language. Um, so, again, only looking at the poem when you look at this article and try to ignore the ads. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to highlight just the poem and put it into Classroom. And that's what I want you to take a look at. Think about it. Send it to me if you'd like me to look at it. Also want to let you know that we are looking to have some in-person classes for writing, just to start with writing. And if you are interested, please email me or call me by the number that is in Classroom. Looking for people interested in coming in. Classes will be held in the morning, probably 10 o'clock, and the afternoon, probably 1 o'clock. Let me know if you're interested. In the meantime, read, keep reading, read anything, read everything. The more you read, the better you get at being a reader and having understanding. That's all for today. Be well, be safe, take care.